Hello, guys, and welcome back. Happy Wednesday, and welcome if you're new here. If you are new here, my name is Alma, and I am a mum of two currently living in very snowy Orkney. And on this channel, we talk all things motherhood and business and homemaking and how we can have it all without facing complete and utter burnout. And today, I actually wanted to share about how and why I realized that the traditional way of working or the modern way of working, whatever you want to call it, was not for me. It wasn't going to work. It wasn't my cup of tea. It wasn't going to work for our family. So I thought that I would share that. And I really want to preface this that it's not that I did not want to work. It's not that I didn't want a job. And it's not that I wasn't willing to put the effort in. And it is definitely not because I wanted to find an easy way out. I actually still go back to my old job and help out whenever they need a helping hand. Because I genuinely enjoy my job. I love hard work. I am a very hard worker, but I feel like the modern way of working assumes that your life is predictable, that your time is consistent, that you can separate work from home, and that you can just switch up the roles that you are playing from, between hours in the day. But to me, that's not how motherhood works. Children don't care what time it is. They don't plan. They don't care what your plan is for the day. Life at home doesn't just pause because you're working that day. Needs come up constantly and they're non-negotiable. For me personally, I could not come to terms with the fact that I would have to tell my 1-year-old that between the times of 9 and 5, I'm not available. I can't come to their beck and call. If they have a problem, they need to go to speak to somebody else. How do you tell a child that? I couldn't that fathom. And I understand that there are so many women out there that don't have a choice. I understand that, and I feel very privileged to the fact that I created space to create that choice for myself. And I feel like there is a lot of educating to be done for people to be able to step away from the narrative that they have been sold all their lives, where they have been told that there is no other choice than a choice that what they have made. But that is a completely different conversation that we can have another day. But for me personally, I actually did go back to work part-time, and trying to fit my life into working a job and being a mom created this really rigid tension for me because I couldn't be present at work because all I was thinking about was my kids at home. Because I want to be there, it's completely different because now I know where my kids are. I know that they're safe. I know that at any moment I can say, look, guys, sorry, I'm going home. I don't have any obligation to actually be there because I'm just helping. So it's a little bit different to actually, being an employee, if you like. But the fact of the matter is that so many women don't take the step out of that system because we're just told that that's what motherhood is like, that you are meant to feel stretched. You are meant to feel tired. You are meant to always feel like you are missing something, no matter where you are. For such a long time, I feel like after I had my first child, I questioned myself for so long because I didn't want to question that narrative that I had been fed because I believed that too. For the longest time, I obviously hadn't started the online business that I'm part of just yet. So I was using social media very much to be feeding myself rather than giving value. And I was feeding myself with all the Instagram posts about how motherhood is hard, how all you have is sleepless nights, how, everything was just so negative, and I was allowing to feed myself that, feed my brain with that every single day. I didn't want to live that narrative, that I wanted to be able to break out of that and do something completely different. I just assumed that I needed to get more organized, be more efficient, be more disciplined. I just assumed that if I planned harder or managed harder, then all of a sudden everything would just become easier. But it didn't. No matter how much effort I put in, I just constantly felt I was forcing something that didn't fit. And that feeling just never went away, no matter how hard I tried. And I feel like at one point, I definitely think that I had postpartum depression for the first 3 months of having my little boy. And I was fueling that depression by filling my head with all the crap that I was seeing on Instagram. And when my hormones obviously settled, nobody told me about that. Nobody told me about the hormone crash that you have after giving birth. We're not educated on that kind of stuff. So obviously the first 3 months were hell with my little boy because I had no idea about what the fourth trimester was actually about. When I had my little girl, none of that happened because I was prepared. I knew exactly what to do. I had read about it. I had educated myself. Nobody else gave me that information. I educated myself. I seeked out the support that I needed. And it was a whole different experience. But when I had my little boy, I didn't have that. I didn't know that I needed to be educated. So when I came out of that dark patch and I took a step back and I looked at what I was doing, I realized that maybe I shouldn't be questioning myself and questioning why this isn't working. I should maybe start asking why I'm actually trying so hard. Why am I pushing for something that doesn't feel like it fits? Because the reality is that the traditional or the modern way of working was not created with the mother in mind. It wasn't designed around caregiving or unpredictability or seasons of life where your availability and your energy plateaus and just isn't predictable in any way. It was built around consistency and output and time for money. And if you don't fit neatly into those three categories, you are told to adapt. They don't adapt anything around you. You are the one that has to adapt and sacrifice the things that are important for you to fit into that box that has been created without you in mind. And then I went from one extreme to the other extreme and I was looking for balance. And after a while, I also realized that balance has nothing to do with this because balance also implies that everything in your life should be fighting for your attention. But what I actually wanted was a completely different starting point. I wanted my home and my children and my well being and my family's well being to be at the center point of everything. I wanted that to come first and that to be the foundation that everything else was built around, not the other way around. And once I actually admitted that to myself, everything became obvious. It's like a screen lifted from in front of my face. I realized that I wasn't asking for less. I was just asking for something different. I wasn't trying to avoid responsibility. I was trying to take responsibility in a way that actually made sense for me. There's this idea that if you want flexibility, you can't be serious. That if you don't want a 9 to 5, you must be looking for the easy way out. And that could just not be further from the truth. Choosing to move into the online space and look for a different way of working has taken so much more than a 9 to 5 could have ever done. I've had to learn so much. It has meant that I've had to take full responsibility of my time, of my income, of my decisions, of my outsourcing. And I have had to create my whole system myself. And it has been hard, but the most important thing that I have had to do along the way is let go of the guilt of wanting to become more, the guilt of wanting to create income without sacrificing presence, the guilt of not wanting the things that I was told that I should want. Once I stopped trying to justify my choices to anybody else, it became so much more simple. The fact that myself and my partner were completely on the same page with this and he wanted the same things out of this as I did made things so much more easier. And I know and I appreciate that some women just don't have that kind of support in their life. But it is so important that you take that power and you listen to your intuition and you move towards the things that you feel are going to be the right choices for your family and yourself. And once I started to make these choices, everything became so much simpler. I became calmer, not because anything dramatic changed, but to be honest, it was just the fact that I wasn't fighting with myself internally every single day and blaming myself for feeling the way that I was feeling and trying to convince myself to feel some other type of way just because people around me told me that it's okay to, feel sad about leaving my kids, but then to go and do it anyway because that's the right thing to do. In just 2 short years of making that decision, life feels so much more soft, if that's the word that you want to say. I don't feel like I'm competing with my own time anymore. Work doesn't feel like something that pulls me away from my family anymore. And that really changes how I show up in my family as well. I feel like that the further that I go into this business and the bigger that I build this business, the more I'm able to be present and come back to myself and regulate my systems and myself internally and learn about myself and my health and my well-being and improve all of those things and try and be a better partner and a better mother and a better person all around. But I really want to make this clear. This was not about rejecting work, and it wasn't about rejecting ambitions, and it is not about saying anything about people that choose the modern way of working. There are people that truly thrive in having a 9 to 5 and being a parent, and they can find that balance between the two because that is what they believe is right. And there is nothing wrong with that. If that is truly in your heart of hearts what you can say that you believe you want. But what this is about is acknowledging that there isn't just one correct way of work. And that for a lot of mothers and dads, the traditional way of working or the modern way of working just doesn't work. It's not built for us. Maybe if this is something that you are listening to and you're feeling like it's what you've been feeling, but you've just maybe not been able to put into words, believe me, you are not alone. Being on social media for the past 2.5 years, I literally see this every single day. Every single day. You don't need to rush to change anything, and you don't need to decide anything today. Sometimes just realizing that the structure is the issue and not you is enough to shift how you see things. And honestly, that is why I wanted to talk about this today. And if you aren't at all interested in what it is that I do online, then there is a PDF in my bio that gives you a little run through of the space that I am in. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys on Sunday for a vlog, and I will see you next Wednesday for a chat.